It hardly seems possible that it's been 3 years since I was up here speaking to you for the first time as mayor. That was January 1991, and I was speaking to you in a brand new community center. It was the start of Desert Storm. We've come a long way since then, and now it's January 1994. I can tell you I'm very excited about the year ahead. I know it will be a great year, and I'm eager to share it with you. It started off very well for me as your mayor. I was invited to help greet Vice President Gore when he stepped off Air Force 2 at Moffett Field and when he visited Monte Vista High School just 2 weeks ago. This tells you how far our part of California has come in the world. When I told a friend that Gore was coming to California, she said in the most blasé way, "Again?" We do tend to get our own American version of the royal family quite often here in Silicon Valley, USA. Well, when I was invited to meet the Vice President, I decided I want to leave Cupertino mark on him. So I pinned him. I put the Cupertino City pin on his lapel, and I thought, oh my God, does this mean we're going steady? But I didn't say it out loud. You never know what the media would think, or Tipper. But I assure you, Bob, that's Koppel, not Dole. Despite the pinning, you're stuck with me. That's my husband of 27 years and my son, Steve. And as for Vice President Gore, he has a reminder of Cupertino that will last him a lifetime, well, at least 5 minutes, or into the evening news when the entire United States knew that Vice President Gore was pinned by the mayor of Cupertino. That was the start of the year. And I must tell you, I just got pinned by the sheriff today, so I don't know if this is a whole new trend we've got going on. But on with the business at hand. In the State of the City address, I'd like to talk about 3 things. First, some of the things we've done especially well in Cupertino, and I believe we've really done a great many things right. Second, I'll talk about some of our challenges. These are tough times. Tough for business, tough for government at all levels, including our own. Tough for education, and tough for the residents of Cupertino who work in high-tech companies in the area. We have some difficult challenges, and we need to face those challenges together and head on and come up with solutions. Somehow, together, make lemonade out of lemons. And finally, I'd like to end with my own personal vision for our city. The dream I would like to pass along to my grandchildren and your grandchildren. I hope you share that dream. Now for the good news. We could all use some. Many of you may be surprised that I put our city's finances in the good news column. It's true, these are not the best of times. Many consider them, in fact, to be the worst of times. The state's finances are in dismal shape, as is the state's economic situation. We have lost something like 400,000 jobs in California in the last 5 years, and are slated to lose many more before our state downturn has ended. In the last 2 years in Cupertino, we've lost 5,000 jobs. It has also been a terrible year for natural and unnatural disasters in the state. Fires, riots, floods, and the earthquake. It just makes you wonder how much a state can take. But it's my belief that these disasters have brought out the very best in our people here in California. The state budget crisis continues to put a gloom over the city and impact our finances. More and more financial mandates are placed on cities from state and county levels. But in spite of this dark situation, we in Cupertino are in better shape financially than most other cities in California. I believe this is because we've taken a very proactive approach to our city's finances. When our own revenues started taking a turn for the worst, we acted quickly. We cut $1.3 million from the budget by reducing staff about 10%, increased our business license and utility taxes, and streamlined many of our processes. This was done over the past 2 years. The upshot is that we ended our fiscal year in June in fairly good shape. We have general fund reserves of about 126% of our annual operating expenditures, the largest amount of any city in Santa Clara County. And while it is worrisome to finance capital improvement projects from the city's reserve fund, Cupertino does have a very large reserve that helps us get out in these tough times. And aren't we glad we do? Believe me, there aren't many cities in California that can point to such an impressive fund balance. Of other cities in the county, only 2 have reserves over 100%, 2 have reserves over 70%, and 6 have reserves of less than 50%. So I'd say we're in better financial health than most cities in the county and state, and we're in better shape than we were a few years ago. Of course, in the long term, we need to look at ways to increase our revenue. Right now, we are huddled under a cold weather economic blanket, staying warm and dry during a particularly wet season. We need to find ways to bring about some better economic weather for Cupertino, and that is particularly difficult in a time when the state and county are burdening cities with more and more mandated costs, and those costs are being shifted from federal to state to county, stopping at our own doorstep. So while there are some concerns in a rough and tumble economic climate, I think we've managed very well indeed. And when you can manage well and judiciously in poor economic times, I think that gives us all the right to celebrate. And I honestly believe we have worked extremely well to control expenses and cut costs to the bone. So let's put our finances in the positive column. But let's continue to talk about ways we can improve them in the challenges section. The second positive is centered around the general plan. It was a long time coming, friends, but last year was the year we finally approved the general plan. It was adopted in June after 3 years of dialogue and debate. I think that was quite an achievement. The general plan set out a framework and a direction for the city that included a hillside policy, a growth plan for the 3 major employers in town, and a streetscape outline for Stevens Creek Boulevard that would give us an improved sense of community. It's a complex document, of course, but these were the 3 central focuses. I know that many were frustrated with the snail's pace process. Someone told me it's taken longer to approve the general plan than it took to get a new post office. Another said, it seems longer than it has taken to complete Highway 85. Now that's a stretch. But this was pretty crucial stuff, ladies and gentlemen. We were talking about the direction of the city for the next 10 years. It was important to get it right, and it was important that we get some kind of consensus. I believe we worked very hard with companies, with citizens, with the Planning Commission, and among ourselves on the City Council to get it approved. Now that it's been approved, there's a great deal to be done. We need to start the process of developing implementation plans, finalizing a street plan for Stevens Creek Boulevard, rezoning properties in the hillsides to reflect the new hillside policies, and responding to the plan's policies regarding building heights. This will give us plenty to do in 1994. The bad news in this good news is that the state has some concerns about the amount of fair share housing units in the general plan. The state contends we have not provided the means to allow a specific number of housing units based upon their formula. They say we're 260 units short of the roughly 2,500 units necessary. They are so picky. We believe that the state formula is not quite right for us given recent reductions in employment in the city of Cupertino. Not only has this been a difficult exercise, but there's a part of us in the city that would like to tell the state to take a hike. So on balance, I would say approving the general plan was one of the highlights of 1993, and I'm proud to have been a part of that process. And speaking of the general plan, another exciting exercise put a new word into all of our vocabularies. The word is charrette. I thought it meant the little daughter of singer Cher. But we found out it means a design exercise that allows citizens to express their thoughts on the future of the downtown area, kind of a potpourri. The planning department, headed by Bob Cowan and assisted by City Wardell, staged this wonderful weekend event, and the businesses in Cupertino assisted with the funding. It really helped us picture how Stevens Creek Boulevard can give us that sense of arrival we need in Cupertino to cap off that community feeling. It was also great to see the level of involvement on the part of citizens, professional designers, and architects volunteering their time to design our city's vision for the 21st century. All department heads and our city manager had a high level of participation. Some other pluses I want to touch on quickly. Well, waste and garbage isn't a very romantic subject. It's probably one of the most important challenges we cities face in the years to come. I'm proud to report that Cupertino's recycling program is right on target. In fact, I think we've hit the bullseye. Last year, we accomplished some 49% diversion of residential garbage, which really means that much less of our waste is going to the landfill. The goal we need to meet is 50% diversion in the entire city by the year 2000. So we're in super shape here. Also, Cupertino still enjoys one of the lowest rates for garbage collection for the program it offers its citizens. However, we do need to concentrate on tweaking our winter yard waste pickup program. And Cupertino continues to participate in the countywide household hazardous waste program. You can now dispose of household hazardous waste once a month rather than 3 times a year. We now recycle glass, metals, plastics, newspaper, cardboard, and yard waste. And our compost program has been a very big hit. That's quite an achievement. A big thanks to Rich Voss for donating the land for the compost, and to Bert Viskovich's creativity for designing the program. To expand our curbside recycling, we plan on including more plastics and cardboard in magazines. Hopefully, this will happen next year. So I think we can say we're leaders in recycling, and I'm very proud of that. Another positive has to do with the fire department. The Central Fire District is in the process of expanding our 2 fire stations on Stevens Creek Boulevard. The one near Kaiser Cement will be enlarged as the lot next door was recently purchased. Extension of the fire station across from the Cupertino National Bank is more complicated. An enlarged facility is needed, and there may be available land nearby. However, the access issue will require careful study, and we will be actively involved in whatever plan is developed. I also would like to add a plug for the firefighters' holiday gift giving to the needy. I felt very privileged to be included in that program. There were more than 200 gifts donated, wrapped, and delivered to needy children. Next year, that program will continue to grow. Thanks, guys. I couldn't include a positive rundown of our city services without mentioning the Sheriff's Department. What a great job they do protecting our city. I would especially like to applaud the Cupertino Community Truancy Court Program put together by the city and the school district. The court program is presided over by volunteer judges and is served to heighten parents' awareness about school attendance. It helps stop children at risk from entering the juvenile justice system, and it's been very effective. Another subject that is near and dear to me is our parks and recreation activities in Cupertino. They've shown just how much can be accomplished even though their budget was cut. It's a clear indication of how much you citizens really care about your city. When the going gets rough, the Cupertinans really get going. For those lovers of statistics, the Recreation Department conducted 1,592 classes, camps, and workshops, 17% more than 1992, and their general fund subsidy was reduced by $140,000. In 1993, I think I've got to get some water. Could you bring me some? Sorry. It's okay. In 1993, 106 high school students volunteered thousands of hours assisting in recreation programs, and 127 senior adult volunteers contributed over 13,000 hours at the Senior Center. Because of strong passage in 1990 of Measure T, and with the cooperation of the Cupertino Union School District, we're upgrading our neighborhood parks and school sites. We've finished Eaton and Monte Vista Elementary Schools, and Regnart is nearing completion. So we're developing a lot of room for our kids to stretch their wings and fly. And I think we can all feel very good about that. Blackberry Farm, too, is bringing revenue to the city. The improvements we've made will make the farm more valuable, enjoyable, and eventually more profitable for Cupertino. Our purchase in 1990 was a very wise investment, and as chair of Measure T, I am particularly proud of that. Finally, on the plus side, I think our new council is working very well together. We've just come back from a team building offsite. I feel very good about saying that word offsite. Corporate folks are always telling me they're going offsite for this meeting. Well, we went offsite too. The city council really enjoyed getting to know each other better and made progress in developing a good process for working together. Sure, we won't always agree. There are bound to be some passionate debates in our future. But we agreed to disagree occasionally and in a very civilized fashion, and to honor our different points of view. We also have a better understanding of why individuals feel the way they do about certain issues, and how we can come to resolution easier, quicker, and become a more cohesive council. So all in all, I think we have a great deal to be thankful for in Cupertino. Our finances are in order. We have a good general plan, perhaps not a perfect one, but a good one. That will put us on a pretty exciting course for the next 10 years. Our report card in offering recreational and other services to you in tough times has been exceptional, and we have a council that gives every appearance of working well together to move this city forward. That's the good news. Now for the challenges. There's no such thing as bad news. We all have challenges these days. Actually, I like the word challenges. Challenges are something we can overcome. And I know with all the collective brain power in this room and in this city, we can overcome any problem or concern we have in Cupertino today. Of great concern to me and to all of us in this room is our economy. This has not been a good year for some of our companies in Cupertino. It was the year of the ings for employees and employers in Cupertino. Restructuring, downsizing, accessing, outsourcing. A very tough year in tough times. It's important for Cupertino to support these companies as they go through these difficulties. They have contributed a great deal to the community throughout the years through a host of volunteer programs, not the least of which are educational programs. They also contribute to our sales tax. How many of you know that our largest taxpayer in this city is Hewlett-Packard? Also, the 10,000 employees of our major companies in Cupertino spend money in our shops and stores and really help boost the local economy. I am very pleased that our general plan offers these 3 excellent Fortune 500 companies the kind of measured growth in our city that will help keep them successful. For I truly believe their success is very entwined with our own in the city. Of course, we need to control that growth, make certain that transportation requirements are adhered to. These companies have agreed to work with us on these requirements. So let's acknowledge that our large companies in Cupertino are going through tough times and that we need to support them through it. Believe me, they have been here for us with Measure T, with business license tax increases, and hundreds of situations when the city needed a helping hand. We've gone to these companies and they've been there for us. They rarely say no. Now we need to be there for them. We also need to support our smaller businesses through the hard times they are experiencing. It's important to keep our local economy as healthy as possible. And I feel we should all concentrate on doing as much of our daily business here in Cupertino. That's a win-win situation. It will help business and the city's budget at the same time. In addition, let's work with the chamber and the large companies to get those 10,000 employees to shop Cupertino and make it as easy as possible for our Cupertino businesses to reach that customer base. This is a case where there is a considerable market here. Now we have to work hard and figure out how to access it. So support of large and small businesses will help keep us healthy in the city. No list of Cupertino challenges would be complete without mentioning the library. I don't know about you, but the American Public Library just seems to be as much a part of what we call our inalienable rights in our democracy. I remember all the wonderful hours I spent as a kid in the library. My kids spent a lot of time there, as did yours. The idea of the library going away or even cutting its hours just worries us at our deepest core. You are tempted to say, if the library goes, what next? Well, our library in Cupertino is in trouble, as are all libraries in Santa Clara County. Since libraries are funded by the county, they are losing funding rapidly as county finances go from bad to worse. In 1992, our library was open 53 hours a week. This year, it's open 37 hours a week. If we do nothing, the library will only remain open 32 hours a week by 1996, and perhaps even less beyond. This has meant long lines, services severely cut, fewer new books and magazines, limited phone reference, just a whole host of takeaway of services that have become so important to us all. The Cupertino Library budget has been reduced by over $600,000. The city's $55,000 addition to the budget has helped, but not enough. We really need a plan to keep our library services alive and well. Supervisor Diane McKenna has provided the leadership with 8 other cities and the county regarding a benefit assessment district. This would be a per parcel assessment of around $25 a parcel for single-family homes. There is a probability of this going on the November's ballot for an advisory vote. Not only would it reinstate some of our lost hours, but it would provide funds to protect our valuable book collection. Another concern and challenge has to do with education. I hate to put education in the challenge column because our education institutions in Cupertino are among the best in the nation, and we all know that. But make no mistake about it, these institutions need our full support if they are to continue to offer the excellent education our community has enjoyed for so long. And you all know that excellent educational quality actually has a very positive payoff and is closely connected to our real estate values in Cupertino. The Cupertino Union School District, the Fremont Union High School District, and De Anza Community College find it more important each year to be as creative as possible in order to stretch each dollar as far as it will go. Our educational institutions in Cupertino always need your help. They depend on the community partnerships they have made with the companies here in the city and with other nonprofit groups, with parents and residents. I ask you to step up to the plate and help our schools maintain the level of education our children have benefited from. Volunteer to assist in the schools. Send supportive dollars to these institutions, endowment foundations. Offer your help in solving one of the most pressing problems associated with our country, our state, our county, and our city. If our kids don't receive the kind of education that will make us strong, make no mistake about it, every single sector of our democracy will suffer. So let's all take up that challenge. Another challenge that faces us in Cupertino and throughout the county has to do with transportation. Just when there appeared to be some light at the end of the tunnel, that light turned into a train coming at us. I refer to the appeals court's invalidation of Measure A. Just when it looked like we were finally making some progress here in Santa Clara County in terms of better transit, the court decision hit us. 54% of the voters approved the November 1992 measure that would fund county transit projects such as the Tasman Light Rail, Caltrain improvements, a county connection to BART, and rail on Stevens Creek Boulevard to downtown San Jose, as well as the Sunnyvale-Cupertino link. These are among other light rail projects, although ours is not light rail. It also would complete several critical freeway projects. But the court decision agreed with the Howard Jarvis Organization lawsuit that argued the measure required a 2/3 voter approval to comply with Proposition 13. Federal and state matching funds for these projects are at risk if the appellate court decision stands. Measure A supporters have appealed the ruling to the California Supreme Court. The court will first decide whether it wants to hear the case. If not, the lower court decision is final. How does that affect us here in Cupertino? It would mean no rail on Stevens Creek Boulevard, no link to Sunnyvale. There would be no opportunity to have a countywide system. 14 of the 15 cities, including Cupertino, approved Measure A. But this isn't just a Cupertino issue. It's a countywide issue, and we need to all pay attention to it. Over here, as you exit, is information that will help you write to the state Supreme Court, asking them to hear the appeal expeditiously. Please take the time to do so. On the plus side of transportation, I'm running out of voice. Excuse me. On the plus side of transportation, this will be the year of the long-awaited opening of Route 85 from Cupertino to Highway 101 in South San Jose. This is a span of 18 miles, and its actual opening to traffic will be October 19, 1994, complete with federal, state, and local dignitaries. However, the greater community celebration will be Saturday, October 15th, and we're looking for your suggestions on how we can properly celebrate this hard-fought and long-awaited event. So add that to the positive side of things. I believe this is a monumental accomplishment. I'm personally looking forward to traveling those 18 miles with the biggest smile on my face you've ever seen. It was back in 1980, Labor Day weekend to be exact, that Cupertino considered abandoning the Highway 85 corridor. That's when I got that mad as hell, not going to take it anymore attitude, and initiated the Cupertino traffic count that was the turning point in the city's decision to continue to pursue the extension of Highway 85 through Cupertino. That was my introduction to politics nearly 15 years ago. So it's true, government moves slowly, and 15 years later, nearly to the day, we have the grand opening celebration. It just proves again that persistency really pays off. One of my goals for 1994 is to get approval for a freeway beautification project here in Cupertino, a pilot program allowing advertisements such as the Apple logo in flowers at 280 in De Anza, or the word Cupertino spelled out in colorful flowers. Looking at sound walls and dirt is getting old. Let's spiff it up. Our 3 larger companies support this concept and are aware they would each foot their own bill. So I'm working on that idea. In other transportation news, the widening of the De Anza Boulevard overcrossing at Route 280 will occur this summer, and the extension of the traffic signal interconnect system on De Anza Boulevard to Prospect Road will be undertaken this year. Along with this, there will be a direct access from De Anza College onto Highway 85 to avoid the local streets for most of De Anza College students and Flint Center users. So there are many positives in transportation, but Measure A has me very worried indeed, and we need to keep our fingers crossed that it will stand up. A few prayers wouldn't hurt either. A final challenge is the recently adopted hillside policy. We must maintain a strong hillside policy, yet still be sensitive to fairness when applying it to individual property rights. Not easy, but it's certainly necessary. So those are the challenge. 1, the economy. 2, save our library. 3, transportation, all that entails. And 4, the hillside protection issue. I think as a city council and as citizens, we need to face these challenges head on. They aren't easy problems, but together we can solve them. And I'd like to say a word about together and the responsibility of all of us to help solve the problems of government. You know, there's a lot of criticism of government on every level. We've become too impersonal, we're hard to be heard, one person can't really make a difference, it's so damn corrupt. I hear that all the time in my travels around Cupertino, around the county, the state, and even when I go to Washington. However, let me say that it's my opinion that local government is the place to restore your faith in all government. On the local level, one person, 2 people, small groups of people can and do make a difference. I encourage you to attend our council meetings. Every citizen is heard. Every opinion is taken into account. You can make a difference. You've seen it happen before right here in our city. Whether it's the hillsides, freeways, stoplights, traffic, or garbage, your voice counts here. So I urge you, and I know it's a cliche, not to ask what your city can do for you, but what can you do for your city. Participate. Be part of the process. Help us solve our problems. Chances are, when we do that, we'll also help solve some of yours as well. So that's the balance sheet on Cupertino. It all adds up to an exciting and challenging year for us all. I would like to end with what I see as my vision of Cupertino. It's one I'd like to pass along to my grandkids and your grandkids as well. When I close my eyes and I think of the next century, I see a Cupertino that continues to be a leader in the high-tech industry. I see the very best companies coming here and the excellent ones we have remaining here, continuing to help us with our problems and being very successful in their own businesses. I see green hillsides enjoyed by residents as they move quickly along highways that aren't clogged and overcrowded. I envision a wonderful community feeling in 3 activity centers along Stevens Creek Boulevard. There's a cultural area around the Oak Shopping Center and De Anza College, close to Flint Center, where residents can enjoy arts and education. There's a civic area at Stevens Creek and De Anza Boulevards, where Cupertinians can relax and enjoy the sight of trees and lush vegetation. There's a commercial hub near Valco, where residents and plenty of non-residents can shop and enjoy a stroll, while at the same time eat at our outdoor restaurants. I see them also listening to roving musicians and enjoying street entertainers. There will be plenty of parks for kids to play in. The schools will be all set up as playing fields as well. And through it all, we will experience that feeling of being part of a warm, lively, and fun community. We will have a sense of place, a sense of arrival. So that's my vision for Cupertino. I hope it's yours as well. It's a long-term vision, but a journey of 1,000 miles begins but with one single step. I want to take that first step with you this year. As your mayor, I pledge myself to help you make your dream of Cupertino come true. This is the year to start with a new general plan, with some great ideas of how to put a city center in place, with the best small and large companies here in all the world. This can't be done in isolation. Please give me your ideas, your thoughts, your suggestions. We need to move ahead. I want to work with you to steer a steady course for the city. I'm excited about the year ahead. Together, we can make a very big difference. Thank you for listening today. Let us work together for a successful, productive 1994. God bless you all.